again for the second day, day 2 of OpenAI's 12 days of Shipmas, as they're calling it, 12 days of OpenAI, where they're launching a new thing every day. And today they have launched reinforcement learning fine tuning. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit, talk about what exactly it is that they have put together for us, and I think it's pretty exciting and pretty interesting. So it's obviously not a super huge announcement like yesterday's, where they announced O1, a big new model. This is basically in addition to that new model. So where O1 was, had a real, allegedly a big step change in capability. It's got this chain of thought reasoning, which was much faster than the O1 preview that we'd already seen. This reinforcement learning is a development of they're basically, what they're doing is opening up the methods through which they train their frontier models to the general public. And so they're launching it properly next year. But what's interesting about it, I think, is that this, like, specialists in academia and in all sorts of different fields, any field really, is able to use this kind of reinforcement learning. And the reinforcement learning, they call it RLHF, so reinforcement learning through human feedback. Essentially, what it's doing is asking it's grading the responses that it gets. So RLHF is using humans. This looks like it's using graders. So it's where you're giving it you're asking it to come up with an answer, and then you're grading its answer, the answer it gives you, on its correctness. So they've given some examples of, they had a guy, Justin Reese, from who's a professor at some university, I can't remember, I should have written that down, who's studying rare diseases. And he was talking about how he can use this to improve the way that they look for genes that are causing problems. So improve the way that they identify diseases. And so what they say they're doing is teaching it to reason in new ways. And the way that they explain that you do that is essentially you're uploading a load of validation data to help the AI understand and improve. And it is going to allow smaller models to perform better in narrow fields than larger ones. And I think it kind of speaks to, with OpenAI generally, what is so visionary about them, or the reason why they've been so successful, is because they're not only they've not only created this technology, but they're also very good at opening it up to the world. So they were the first people to develop. They released, GPT-3, GPT-4, but they've also released APIs so that the rest of the world can build on this technology and start adding this intelligence layer in between different things. This, again, seems like an extension of that logic. They're opening up the technology, and the clue's supposed to be in the name, right? OpenAI. And a large part of the reason for contention around OpenAI is that they're not always perfectly open source. But this does seem to be another step in that direction. They've developed this technology, and now they're opening it up to different specialists in different areas to see what they can do with it. And so it really just focuses the AI. It's no longer just a kind of general intelligence that can do general things, but it can reason over very specific data sets. And they shared a couple of graphs that I thought were quite interesting as well. So I'm going to take a look at those with you right now. So let's find them. I saved them down somewhere. Going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. So this is the test results that they talked about. So this is looking for correct answers, and you can see across the top 1, top 5, and then this first one is O1, the big model. Then you've got O1 mini here, and then you've got the fine-tuned O1 Mini. So this one here, and you can see it's got better performance. The fine-tuned model has got better performance than both of the other ones across all of these different metrics. And this one is smaller than O1. So pretty interesting. They've got this graph as well, same thing. So the fine-tuned model is getting just much higher percentages of correct answers than the other models, and that's because it's got this specialist data. So pretty interesting. Not a super gigantic, enormous announcement like O1, and like I suspect there will be others. It's interesting that Sam wasn't on this one. Sam Altman wasn't on this one, and that's because he probably, wants to take the big hits. What's going to come next? Who knows? Probably going to get Sora. We're probably going to start getting video capabilities now. Next week, we've got 5 days of announcements next week, and then another 5 days of announcements the week after. So it's pretty exciting that there's going to be a whole heap of new stuff. This announcement, like I say, was not super massive, but exciting nonetheless. It's new capabilities, and what's really going to be interesting is when you see this out in the wild, when you see it out in the world and people start building with it and creating stuff for themselves. So I'll be interested to see different fields and disciplines, what people are going to do with it. And we are just starting to see now all of the little niches around the, in the world, in the economy, all of the little niches where there are legacy systems and like old ways of doing things that exist. They're all just going to start getting modernized with this general AI layer that's getting put in. But now, with this reinforcement learning, what you'll start to see is that not only is there a general layer of intelligence across all of these things, but in fact, there's going to be a specialist layer for each of them as well. So it's not going to be like when you use ChatGPT now, if you're using it in something that you know really well, it makes kind of rudimentary errors. Actually, in any field, in any discipline, the AI is increasingly going to be smarter than any of the humans. And this, of course, means that we're going to start getting into the realms of what are humans really for? What are we really there to do when the AI is not only quick, not only smart, not only multimodal, i.e., it can understand images, videos, voice, etc., but also it has that specialist knowledge. Then what you'll start to find is true creativity, I think, as well. And it'll start coming up with really novel ideas that are discipline specific, that can really push the frontier of what humans know and what humans can do forward at an accelerating rate. And, the future is going to be pretty bright, I think, so long as it doesn't take over and so long as it doesn't kill us. But that's another story. Also in the news today, it's worth pointing out, OpenAI look like they are doing away with the definition of AGI in order to unlock investment from Microsoft. So I'm going to share this with you as well quickly because I thought this was extremely interesting. Here you can see the Financial Times have got the news, they've got the exclusive. They're looking to ditch the AGI clause. So for those of you that don't know, OpenAI have a clause in their investment arrangement with Microsoft, which has been ongoing for quite some time now, which here you can see, which means that the arrangement is void if they achieve AGI. And this is all tied up with the reason why Ilya Sutskever left and why there's been so much ruction within the business is because people inside the company have been very worried about achieving AGI and AGI taking over the world and potentially being very dangerous in the wrong hands. Sam Altman seems to be less concerned about that. So here you can see OpenAI is in discussions to ditch a provision that shuts Microsoft out of its most advanced models when the startup achieves artificial general intelligence. And obviously this is because they want to unlock billions of dollars of future investment. Now, the way they define AGI is a highly autonomous system that outperforms humans at most economically valuable work. Very woolly definition, I think. I mean, how do you even begin to quantify an entire world economy? And then how do you begin to say that it can do most of it? Actually, I think what you find when you start trying to create definitions of AGI is that it's very difficult to do. There really aren't that many um, easy ways of succinctly describing it. Now, this one that OpenAI have created is you know, it is clear, but when you think about what it would actually take to define all of that, it just becomes incalculable, in my opinion. Um, and it seems like Sam Altman is kind of getting there as well. He said in interviews recently that he thinks that they'll get there, but that it won't be a big deal and people won't really realize. I mean, look, you could say in some ways, by some people's definitions of AGI, you could say that we're already there now. Artificial general intelligence is a generalized intelligence that's as good as humans. That was the original definition of AGI, and you'd have to say that for most reasoning capabilities, AI is as good as the median human, if not better, probably better. So I think it's probably right, or it was always going to be the case that they ditched this kind of weird AGI clause eventually, because what you're starting to see now is just AI is popping up in all sorts of different places. And today's announcement, I think, reinforces this fact that it's just going to be operating in all of these different niches all at the same time. And it's not going to be this one monolithic AGI that becomes all powerful and has the capability to take over the world. It's just going to be like capitalism is now. There's just going to be lots of different pockets of intelligence and agency all competing with each other over status and money and resources and all the rest of it. It's going to be a fluid and dynamic system that won't it's not going to be this sci-fi baddie from the Terminator. So this idea of AGI, we were going to have to do away with eventually, I think. So an interesting piece of news. I would love to hear what you all think. I think that the announcements that come in coming days are going to again speak to that. It's going to be new capabilities in new niches that just up level the quality and breadth and specialization and specificity of intelligence. Intelligence is now, we've always as humans kind of thought of intelligence as being this, almost ethereal thing that's unique to the brains that we have inside our heads. And now we're realizing it's really just a kind of commodity like anything else. You can produce it, you can sell it, you can commoditize it, you can specialize it, you can use it in all areas of the economy, and it's going to make for a very crazy and exciting world. And I, for one, am looking forward to what comes next. So that's it for me for today. It's been a decent announcement, not a showstopper, more of a, as Sam Altman put it, stocking stuffer than a big gift. But exciting, interesting nonetheless. And I'll see you back here for next week and the 12 days of OpenAI returning on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye bye.